to remind you, yes, we do this across 3 network centers, Benin here, Lagos, and Abuja. We give you an in-depth analysis of the twists, the turns, the ups and downs of our social space here in Nigeria. And also here with me in our Benin Network Center, I have the legendary and iconic Dr. Sonny Duke Okosun. A wonderful morning to you, Dr. Sonny Duke.
Good morning, Fifi. I mean, you make my head to have that this morning. This kind of accolades. Anyway, it's a delight to always have you here every week on the program. Good morning, viewers from wherever you're watching across the world. Welcome aboard the show, TMI, on the ITV network.
And of course, I also have my amiable colleague right here in the studio. I have Anu Oluwakbo Stevens joining. Anu, how are you doing? A pleasure to have you here. How was your weekend?
Good morning. My weekend was great. I always look forward to my weekend, and of course, it's good to be here. Thank God for life.
All right, we do thank God for life. And there's been a lot trending on our social space, current affairs, and just the issues of the day, which we're here to break down. I did tell you that we do this across 3 network centers, and my colleague in our Lagos Network Center is also standing by to join in and pitch in on our conversation. I have Mercelina Unquo in our Lagos Network Center. Wonderful morning to you, beautiful Mercelina.
Beautiful morning to you, Chikumfunaya. Good morning, Anu Oluwakbo, and good morning, Sonny Duke Okosun. Lagos is beautiful. I guess you guys are good this morning.
All right, we'll come back to you as we progress in our conversation. Now, we have a string of issues that have been, trending in our social space over the weekend and even up until this morning. We have the nullified PDP National Convention, and we also have a very, should I say, news that has left us in a sullen mood. The death of a singer, Jinga, due to a snake bite. There's been a lot of reactions that have been elicited that issue. Dr. Sonny Duke, this is something that has left Nigerians in a sad mood, and it's also garnered a lot of reactions. What's your take on this?
It's a sad commentary on our national psyche as a nation, as a people. Like some would always say, it's a typical case of Nigeria failing that young lady who had so much bright future ahead of her. I mean, go to her page and see the impact she's making in terms of her chosen career, her chosen profession. Fantastic singer. But to think that she was bitten by a snake in her house, and then she even made efforts to get to the hospital. But unfortunately, the hospital didn't have the anti-snake venom, as it were, and so the poison spread around the system, and before you know what's happening, in getting to another hospital, she passed. I mean, that's a sad commentary that in this time and age, a hospital would not have antivenom. I mean, this is the reality of Nigeria. And when these things happen, you just wonder, where are we going to in this country? When you look at the life expectancy in Nigeria, it's one of the lowest across the world. You look at some of the health infrastructures that we have in the country, it's at its poorest state. I read a story recently where someone said on the U.S. Embassy website, it talks about the fact that Nigeria parades some of the finest medical professionals across the world.
Yes.
Very savvy, very knowledgeable and all of that. But back home, the infrastructures for these health practitioners to do their job and do it very well, they are not there. All right, you go to the average primary healthcare center, you probably won't find a doctor there. You probably won't find nurses there. They can't even carry out some basic operations just to save life. One of them is what I just played out now. If in the area where she lives, she had, or maybe there's some sort of primary healthcare center that is adequately equipped and furnished, she probably will not go to a private clinic, all right? And then she went to a private clinic, at the end of the day, she's no more. Quite sad.
Definitely, it is quite sad from, you know, the negligence in our healthcare sector to the lack of promptness and facilities that we've seen per time. We've even got to see it, you know, with the death of the son of Chimamanda Adichie. And now this, it's something that a string of issues have boiled down to, you know, just make it in our faces. And let's have your own take on this.
So a lot of things to talk about regarding this. This is not the first time it's happening, sadly, and statistics has it that snake bite usually kills a lot of persons yearly, and it's shocking to see that we don't have the anti-venom, you know, stuff in hospitals here in Nigeria. So I was listening to a Aproko doctor speak, where he did say a typical Nigerian situation and syndrome, with a lot of persons saying, oh, it could be spiritual, because we had like 2 of the snakes. I saw the video online. Hopefully we'll have it on TMI social this morning. 2 of the snakes were found in her house, and a lot of persons began wondering how the snakes could get into the house. Are you sure it's not spiritual or not? And then he did state that this is how we tend to allow our politicians get away with a lot of things. A situation where you go to a hospital here in Nigeria and you do not have anti-venom in 2026. We don't have the right infrastructure. And then he did state that when doctors go on strike to talk about and to request for the basic amenities, welfare packages, we tend to just shove it aside and say, oh, it's none of my business. And to think that it's everybody's situation at this point, because the fact that it has not gotten to you or your family yet, God forbid, doesn't mean it's not affecting another person. Now, this is a 25-year-old Ifunaya, beautiful, amazing voice on TikTok. She sings like an angel when you go to her page on TikTok, only for her life to just be cut short like that. I also did read her brother's account of the story, where he did state that she didn't die immediately. So she got beaten in Abuja, in her residence in Abuja. She called her brother immediately to say, oh, a snake has, you know, did bite me and I'm going to the hospital, do not panic. She did book a bolt down to the first hospital, which is a private one. They said they do not have the anti-venom. And then she went to a federal hospital. Interestingly, let's note that all of this happened in the FCT. Right. Yeah. So she went to a federal hospital, and that was when they took out what she used to tie her hand. And interestingly, it seemed the venom did spread. She got fixed a drip on, and a couple of hours later, we heard the sad news. It's pathetic medical negligence, what is going on. I feel like this is where the federal government, the politician, needs to step up. It's not enough to have road construction and you're building flyovers and you just want to cut ribbons. What about the basic necessities in private or in primary healthcare systems right here in Nigeria? We do not see that happen. And the usual saying of me, Nigeria never happened to us, we get to pray that every time, has already happened to Ifunaya. Ifunaya, not Chukwu.
Well, it's definitely one sad conversation which we're having. And let's not forget Mercelina standing by in Lagos. I would also want to have her pitch on this conversation. If we can have Mercelina up there. Mercelina, such a sad issue, you know, going on. Is it medical negligence? Is it the lack of facilities? Why did this have to happen? You know, what do you think?
I would say Nigerians failed her, and at the same time it is medical negligence, because this is 2026, for crying out loud. How can you go to hospital and they have the vent? It's really sad. I mean, I saw a page on TikTok. She's really doing well for herself. Nigeria has failed her. It's like I said earlier, this is 2026. According to what Anu said, it is not just about the government, you know, focusing on constructions, roads, bridges, and all of that. What are the basic necessities that men need, that Nigerians need, that we need? The healthcare sector, are they paying attention to the healthcare sector? It is very important. How can you go to an hospital, you're being bitten by a snake, go to an hospital and there's no antivenom? It is, I mean, the government, the politicians, I mean, all those people in power, they really need to look into this. It is really sad. Cutting the life of that beautiful young lady short, you know, failing her as a country, it's sad. I mean, I feel for her, I feel for her family. this period. They're grieving. It's sad. They really need to look into it. But basically, from Lagos today, we are also going to be talking about the court nullification. Court nullifies PDP National Convention, and according to the court, their excuse is that the convention was held in violation of existing court orders. As a result, all officials, according to them, all officials that were elected at the conventions are being barred from parading themselves as national officers of the party. And we all know that PDP is the main opposition party, to the current ruling party, which is the APC. So what is next for PDP? Do they still stand a chance for the forthcoming 2027 election? So we would be having a political analyst that would help us talk on this today.
Talking about the court nullifying the PDP National Convention held 15th to 16th November 2025, you know, it's just been a lot for that party. What are the implications for the party leadership, and what does this also tell for 2027? I can also already, you know, hear and see you laughing, Dr. Sonny J.
Yeah, I'm laughing because you're talking like someone who is sympathetic.
Obviously, I should be, because we should have options, but this doesn't tell well for options come 2027.
Yeah, you know, it's quite sad because the path that the party is on right now is more or less like a path of no return. You're seeing in the last couple of weeks, months, maybe years too, a lot of big wigs in the party, they've left. Particularly with the emergence of the ADC as a coalition platform, we saw a large chunk of leadership in the PDP move, some remnants of the APC, and then the ADC itself, some remnants of Labour Party, all coming together to form that coalition. And then sadly, some of the state governors on the PDP platform, they've all been moving to the ruling party, the APC. And so when you look at all of this trajectory, you just know that things are not really in the best interest of the party, and the future of the party, I mean, you can predict how it's going to end. So this is a party that has so much promises, promising to rule for the next 60 years, prided itself as the largest party in Africa. But what have you seen? The party has gone down. And it's always the case when a party loses election at the center within the Nigerian context. And the average Nigerian politician does not know how to really play the role of opposition. They want to be in the frame of things. They want to be at the heart of things, because that's, as I say, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So if the monies are not coming in to bankroll what they are doing, the contracts are not coming, the servicing of politicians is not sustainable, and then you see people just want to move to where their bread will be buttered, and that's exactly what is playing itself out with the PDP, and it's quite sad.
Now, Anu, staying with the nullification of the PDP National Convention, what does this foretell for our democracy? There's a lot of mixed reactions already about it, and how it doesn't leave us with much options, like I said before. But from your standpoint, what does this foretell for us in 2027? You know, having APC as, it seems, the only a prominent party which people can look onto. The ADC right now is kind of, you know, is here and there. So what do you think? What's your standpoint?
Well, there are those who would say, is Nigeria moving already to a one-party state? And some persons would believe that the politics and the democracy being played here in Nigeria is quite a particular one. If you tend to observe from others played in other parts of the world, and the one played here in Nigeria is really quite particular. So many things to talk about. A big question is, should the court even be part of the party leadership in the first place? That's the question that needs to be answered. Hopefully we get our guests in the studio to do justice to this conversation.
The courts will always be involved in our political process.
Right, because that's what some of the PDP bigwigs are saying, that the courts do not have the right to participate in party leadership.
Yes, you can say that. Go to the court and argue that.
Right.
Because you see, they say the court is the hope, or is the last hope of the common man.
Yes.
So when people are aggrieved, they will seek a redress. And you know that when you also have a system where we do not allow the internal democracy of the party to function, that's on the one hand. And you also have some overbearing party members, those who have the ideology, if I don't win, nobody else should win. if I don't get that position, nobody else should get it. So they look for every way and means to scuttle the party by going to different, courts and trying to seek injunction. I had a conversation with the South Caretaker Committee Chairman, Chief Imao Gidi, on Saturday on Politics Today, and that's exactly the point that he raised,
right,
that you cannot have two courts of coordinate jurisdiction giving conflicting judgment, as it were. So we'll see how it pans out, and I know that the current National Working Committee leadership of the party will seek redress. I'm sure they would have even appealed this decision of the higher court. So let's see how that goes. And some are saying this is the handiwork of the ruling party.
And
yeah,
also
that's what's
a lot of people are saying,
right. Right. Let's also not forget the role of the Minister of the FCT is some weekend, all of this.
Sure,
I'm pretty sure he'll be smiling right now wherever he
definitely
is
smiling, if not giggling.
Right.
All right. Yes, we do have a lot of talking points on this particular issue and many more right here on TMI on the ITV network. And I have my colleague in our Abuja Network Center, Joseph Kadri, standing by. You got to join us late, but we've had a robust conversation already. We've talked about the lady who happened to pass away due to medical negligence or lack of attention, after a snake bite. And we've also been able to delve into the issue of the nullification of the PDP National Convention. I would like to have your take on these issues. Welcome, Joseph Kadri, and let's have it.
All right, thank you very much, dear colleagues in Benin and Lagos. When it comes to the issue of snake bites, it's an angle that the federal government most time will tell Nigerians that so much has been allocated for neglected tropical diseases, which of course houses river blindness, schistosomiasis, we have the elephantiasis, and of course, the snake bite, among other neglected tropical diseases, about 17 or 18 of them. And what the government does through the Federal Ministry of Health is to ensure that commodities to prevent or treat, as the case may be, are available. So it is really worrisome that in the nation's capital, where you have so many tertiary institutions like the FMC Jabi, the Abuja University Teaching Hospital, you have the National Hospital, and so many other specialist hospitals across the various districts do not have anti-venom. It calls for thorough investigation. The investigation should start from the Federal Ministry of Health, not to hospitals alone. So it is a sad one that we lost someone to simple anti-snake venom. Now, on the issue of PDP, that the outcome of that national convention in Ibadan that brought the Turaki-led NWC had some of the party members, of course, Wike is there, Payoshe, Senator Samuel Ayawa, and others were expelled. And when they went to court this time around in Ibadan, it was an order of mandamus for INEC to recognize the outcome of that convention. That was why and you know how it is when the matter started, the reliefs that were not sought was the one that the judge gave judgment to. There was never a time in that suit that says we are the officials and we must be able to, you must recognize us. They didn't ask the court to recognize them. They rather asked the court to give an order of mandamus for INEC to recognize them. But at the end of the day, what happens? Well, that the court failed to recognize the outcome of the Ibadan Convention. But as we speak, the party has gone to, the party is already on an appeal, and that is why the chairman of the PDP, who is also a legal luminary and SCN, said that judgment is academic. So in the coming days, we will see how that judgment will be interpreted in the appellate court.
We do hope to see how it pans out. Definitely, it's going to be such an insightful time with all our talking points on the program TMI on the ITV network. After this short break, we'll proceed to the next leg of the program this morning, where we get to review our newspapers, the newspaper review segment. Stay with us. It's going to be such a ride. Welcome back to This Morning on ITV, on the ITV network. It's about time for our next segment, which happens to be the newspaper review segment. And we have our very insightful guests joining us per usual. Our guest reviewer, the HOD of Mass Communication Department at the University of Benin, Dr. Dan Eheraifo. Good morning to you, Dr. Dan.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Well, it's a pleasure and honor both to have you join us. Now, we'll quickly move on to our first point of call this morning, which happens to be Daily Independent. We'll take the major headline there, which says, pressure mounts for extension as mid-tier lenders flounder. It goes on to say experts see time as biggest risk factor for weaker banks. Now, because we're pressed for time, we'll take just that story headline, and then we'll have your take on it, Dr. Dan.
Yes, if you look at this decision of the central bank that banks should have a capital base increase from the old 25 billion naira to 500 billion, it is to give stability to the market and to the banking sector. Don't forget that in the mid-90s, we had situations where many banks failed, and NDDC could not account for or provide a sort of solvent for individuals who deposited their money in the banks. So one way of preventing a repeat of what you saw in the 90s is to constantly increase the capital base of banks so that depositors can feel a sense of safety. So if this pressure is coming, it's simply because for some of these financial institutions, they do not have the right resources to compete in the market. So if they must stay as lenders, they need the required capital to compete. This is the reason why you are seeing this type of pressure.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dan. Let's quickly look at what we have with the new Telegraph. On the new Telegraph this morning, it's source: military officers smuggle arms on board aircraft, threaten airlines, airport staff. And they write that there's ministers to meet Tinubu over security breaches at airports. Dr. Dan, let's get your insight into this story on the front page of the new Telegraph. You can actually get more on it on page 2.
If you look at our society, especially where we are coming from, we came from the military era, and this mentality is still very much ingrained in the way we behave. If you go to social functions where senior military officers are present, you see the attitude of some of their aides. And this is what has played out at the airport. What the government needs to do is to get those officers subpoenaed so that incidents of this nature will not repeat itself. The airport is a place where protocols that you are a military officer do not hold. Don't forget, even when visiting head of states are coming to other countries, there is always a deliberate policy of not allowing their aides come with weapons. So if at the international level, this type of understanding is reached, not to talk within our social space, why will you go board a flight or take a gun with you in a flight? The result of what you are going to get is that when you are provoked, you may likely do the unthinkable. So the airline, the officer in charge or the particular officer should be identified, and appropriate sanction should be meted out. Government must be decisive in addressing this issue. If they don't, we may continue to have a repeat of this in the near future.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Dan. Away from there, we turn our attention over to the Nigerian News Direct, leading with an interesting report that says 3 years after, 50% of consumers with 5G enabled devices unable to connect. That's the report stated there. Dr. Dan, we'd love to get your take on it.
Government issued 5G licenses to some of these telecom companies. Apart from a city like Lagos and Abuja, where the rollout was done in some places. In many other parts of Nigeria, where people buy 5G enabled devices, the reality is that the fiber optic cable needed to enable 5G network work effectively is not there. What is the regulator doing about this? You're giving licenses, people are not doing the right thing, and there is a palpable silence on the part of the regulator instead of putting pressure on the telecom operators to provide the fiber optics cable needed to make this work. But you see, you know the challenges with us as a people. Even if there is a talk, or even as we are raising the point in terms of this review, nothing will be done because they have a way of having their way with issues of this nature. So if you give a license to an individual to operate a 5G license, and almost 3 years or 5 years after, nothing has been done, what are you supposed to do as a regulator? You impose the right sanctions, but they will not do that. Rather, they will be romancing with the telecom operators. It's very sad.
Okay, thank you so much for your disposition there, Dr. Dan. Over now to our next point of call, the Punch newspaper. The major headline says, travels, presidency spends 34 billion naira on Forex in 2 years. It goes on to say foreign trips, aircraft maintenance costs fall as FX purchases plunged 83% in 2025. That story is on page 2. Now over to you, Dr. Dan.
Yes, when I woke up this morning, that was the first headline I saw on my newsfeed. 34 billion naira in 2 years. If you translate it to empowering poor people, the result of what you're going to get will be humongous in terms of empowerment and all that. Those in the presidency will tell you the president travels regularly to secure foreign investment into the country. Well, securing foreign investment is a good thing, but if the basics are right, investors will call themselves. So it's a recurring decimal in our national life, where we hide under the name of foreign trips. Some are for medical treatment, bilateral service visit are arranged in the name of that, so that state resources can be spent on this. How many of the developed nations president visit us as a people, or travel to other countries as regular as our president travel? In January alone, the president spent over 23 days outside this country. You pay for the airport hangar, you pay for hotels, and you spend a lot of money. So what is the volume of investment that has been brought into the country when you compare to what we have spent on all of this? The reason is simple. If you don't get your acts together in terms of security, economic development, if you don't get the indices right, investors will not come. We'll continue to globetrot looking for investors. The challenge with our leadership is that we know what to do to make things work, but we play politics with everything. So trade travel is always used as an excuse. 34 billion in the midst of poverty. It speaks volume about what the priorities of our president or those in the presidency is.
Thank you, Dr. Dan. Let's quickly look at what we have from the Nigerian Tribune. Interesting story here, which of course, brings to mind the issue of global dominance. West African leaders meet in Ghana, agree on regional security framework. The writer there says, region now global epicenter for terrorism, violent extremism. In this meeting, Dr. Dan, would you recommend an alliance with China, an alliance with Europe, or better still, an alliance with the United States of America?
I recommend any alliance because you understand the politics of international communication and the politics of hegemony. Once you enter into an alliance with any of these countries, you inadvertently have a high level of control over what you do. The question is, what will it take the West Africa standby force to act? Over the years, the standby force has been established. Apart from Nigeria, Niger, joint military operations that you see around the Lake Chad region, West Africa Standby Force has been a subject of discourse as far back as the year 2000. But what have they done with it? The problem with African leadership is that most of the time they do a lot of talking, but they don't take action. In this age at time where technology drives security, if the right infrastructure is provided, the right technological devices are deployed with men and resources on the field to address these issues, is not going to be a difficult thing. But you know, even some of the men in the military, they see some of this insecurity you see here and there as a means of empowering themselves. Issues they can address front long. What they do most of the time is that they allow the issue to fester so that budgetary provisions can be made. That is why you have prolonged insecurity in West Africa. And they've given opportunity to young men and women to continue to take to the path of violence or extremism in order to drive insecurity. If African leaders or West African leaders are sincere as they address the economic challenges of their nation, invariably they will curtail the level of insecurity in this region. But what you find is that leaders are interested in their pocket instead of making deliberate effort to empower their people. So the West African leaders should take the West African Standby Force that has been in place over the years seriously. And when there's a breach, the force should be deployed to curtail such incidences.
Right. Away from that, Dr. Dan, the Daily Sun newspaper is up next, and the major headline says, outrage over incessant electricity grid failures. Subwriter says, experts blame TCN, NISO for deep-rooted system lapses. Another subwriter says 676 billion naira spent on diesel in 6 months. And you get all of the details on page 21. Just this year alone, the last month, the national grid collapsed twice. Dr. Dan, what do you make out of this?
2023 and now the grid has collapsed about 80 times, if I'm not mistaken. You keep hearing about grid collapse because it's not a money-making venture for some people. Ask yourself the basic question. In 2022 or so, we were told that there was deliberate effort to expand the grid. For those states that now have independent power plant, you need to connect them to the national grid. So sometimes I ask myself whether those in planning, they think at all. You keep having the same problem for the past 6 to 7 years, a recurring problem, and resources will be deployed. The supervisory ministry or agency will not bother to cross-check whether the adequacies have been done. We are growing as a people in terms of population. Communities are expanding, which will mark this sector. So what are the authorities doing? Resources will be released, patchwork will be done. In a few months, the same problem will come again. They will tell you, organize a big press conference to tell you why the grid collapsed. Honestly, we are not a serious people. If it's a private-driven establishment, and you have a man who keeps giving you excuses for failure, will you keep him on the job? You will fire him. But we are not ready for that.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Dan, for your very grounded standpoints on each of the major headlines raised this morning on the newspaper review segment. And here's where we draw the curtain on that segment. After this intermission, we'll move over to the crux of our conversation right here in our Benin Network Center, where we were talking about the court nullification of the PDP National Convention, the implications for the PDP leadership, and for the 2027 general elections. To delve into this, we'll have very insightful guests, Omobumi Bob Manuel Omoru. He's a PDP chieftain joining virtually from Lagos, and we'll also have Honorable Segun Showumi. He's also a PDP chieftain, and he's also joining virtually from Lagos. And to spearhead this conversation, we'll have the legendary Dr. Sonny Duke Okosun and Cause. Do join us again later on.
culture. They share common traditions. The people are known for their hospitality. Onwa traced their origin to Benin Kingdom as a result for a man to find a comfortable place for living. The name Onwa was derived from the largest and longest river in the area, which is known as Onwian or Onwa. It means one who makes merry in affluence. Onwa is rich in culture and traditions. The people are a mixture of traditional worshippers, Muslims and Christians. Onwa is located at the northern part of Edo State. It consists of 2 local government areas, that is Onwa West and Onwa East. It has a total number of 13 clans and 21 political wards, according to National Population Commission 2006 census. The population of Onwa people is put together at 251,686. The people love tradition and culture. Historically, the people ancestors in deep quest to hand down on their future children a society of love and friendship, where the spirit of brotherliness is shared. They developed traditions, culture, and dance that electrified the environment, that encouraged love and joy.
ITV, certainly the best.
The Igwe Festival is the colorful and crowd-pulling festival in Benin Kingdom. The Igwe Festival is an annual event that is celebrated by all Benin, both at home and abroad, to mark the end of the Benin year and to usher in a new year with a renewed hope for peace and prosperity. The annual Ugie Festival is centered on the Oba of Benin as the Oba takes the center stage.
Thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Last week Friday, a High Court in Ibadan nullified the PDP convention which brought forth Taminu Turaki as the leader or the National Working Committee chairman of the party amongst other leadership. And the bottom line is that the court has also sacked the NWC and nullified the convention. What does this portend for the PDP as we move closer to the elections proper. Let me welcome a chieftain of the PDP in Edo State. Well, I hope it still stays that way. Omobume Bob Manuel Umoru is joining us virtually from Lagos. Omobume, it's good to have you join us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Let me say Happy New Year to you. It's been a while.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Nice meeting you. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to you, sir.
Okay, let me begin by asking you this question. What has happened today with the court's decision on the last convention that brought the new leadership of the party forward? Was it something you saw coming? Because sometimes some describe you as a prophet. Whether you are a prophet in the positive sense, a prophet in the negative sense, a prophet of doom, I don't know. Give us your take on this.
Thank you so much. From the time the case was instituted in the first court, which is the Federal High Court Abuja, under the watch of Honorable Justice James Omotosho, we saw it coming. And if you check most of my publication to the members of the party and to the general public, I've always said everyone should remain calm, that there is never a time that impunity will be allowed to glorify itself over the lawful conduct or the constitution of the party. So what happened in Ibadan, like I termed it just after the judgment, I called it Amala Carnival, or you call it Amala Convention. So we saw it coming, but it's only those who are glued to legality that can understand the tenets of the law and what the law eventually will interpret tomorrow. And I am not surprised that this judgment, as they were spinning out, they were going in the right direction, especially to uphold the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Electoral Act, and of course, the sacred document of our party, the PDP Constitution. So the judgments have been in the right direction, and they were much expected. From now till it will get to Supreme, I can equally tell you without blinking eyes what the judgment would read, because these are matter of constitution, not matters of emotion. And so those who have been approaching the court, we have been pleading with them. Don't approach the court with your emotion. The court does not rule on emotion. Court rules on law and facts. So it's something we saw coming long ago, and I can spin out publications or press releases with dates to our people and to the public, telling them to maintain calm, that this is what it will end at.
All right, let me ask you this question, Omobume. Give me your insights, legalistically speaking, in terms of the Constitution, the convention itself, the rulings that came forth heralding this convention, and then the party's constitution, because these are legal documents which you are relying on to make your predictions that on appeal, even up to the Supreme Court, the rulings or the judgments are going to remain the same. What do we have as insight into these documents?
Thank you. First, and what the court relied on was communication within the party. Now, in the party's constitution, if you are going to inform INEC about a purported convention, it must be duly signed by two very important parties, and they are the principal officers of the party. One, the national chairman, and two, the national secretary. And like we always say, the secretary is the custodian of the secretariat. It doesn't therefore mean that the secretary can single-handedly notify INEC. No. The Constitution and the Electoral Act and INEC guidelines stipulate that the duo must communicate to INEC, and it must be duly signed. Now we had letters sent to INEC without the proud notification of the secretary and his knowledge, and as at the time those letters were sent, the secretary was not around. And then the issue of forgery was raised, and we moved from that point. All of this that we refuse to harmonize the house were the impediments on all the journeys we have gone through so far. Now, when we approached the court, it was the Damagun-led faction that wanted it, the convention as at all costs. He was the chairman as at then. Yes, it was right for him to preside over that, but not against, I repeat, not against the constitution of the party. But when certain individual now feels that impunity must continue to reign and gain ground in PDP, then those who are glued to law to cut us to size in 2027 have to take necessary actions. And so the matter was taken to court by aggrieved members of the party. Now, let me say this first. The fourth set of, the fourth court that we went to, which was the Justice James Omotosho court that gave its verdict on the 30th of October 2025. The case was not even instituted by members. It was instituted by the chairman of Imo State, the chairman of Abia State, and of course, the secretary of the South-South zone. They prayed the court on certain grounds that the convention should not hold because it didn't meet the constitutional requirements of our party, the Electoral Act, and of course, against the 1999 Constitution as amended. That was the first. And that judgment came out in favor of the applicants. And the court said XYZ should not have. We went away from that. One of the former governor of Jigawa State, His Excellency Sule Lamido, had wanted to contest for the national chairmanship of the party. By right, by his contribution to party and all, he is ably qualified. He was also thrown aside. He went to the court also before Justice Peter Lifu. And Justice Peter Lifu, just a day to the convention, which was stated, the purported Amala Carnival, which was stated for 15th and 16th of November. The court also said that INEC should not even attempt to attend it, and that PDP should halt every preparation for convention and follow suit, that His Excellency Sule Lamido should be included and given the opportunity to contest. And don't forget, when you exclude Sule Lamido from the process, it means you have stepped on his fundamental human rights. For Section 33 to 46 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. These judgments were given. I'm proud to that judgment that was released.
Just a moment. It's on record that Sule Lamido, for instance, applied to be chairman of the party after the expression of interest form and all other documentation had elapsed. You talked about the party's constitution. If something is made open, there's always a timeline. If you now want to come in when that timeline has already elapsed, I mean, it shows, and then you approach the court against that background. That's perhaps for me points to the fact that you don't mean well for the party. You just want to look for legal bottlenecks, legal barriers to derail the party, as it were.
No, it wasn't true that it has elapsed. What happened was that, you know, in every institution, there are those for the progress and there are those for their own personal progress and interest. What happened was that those who had personal interest hurried the process. And that was why in the suit, all of them were joined in that suit. They were all joined. And those who saw reason with it that, okay, the court has spoken, that this man has been unjustly treated. The process, when the information came out, it didn't beat the speculated time. So the man had every right. You hurriedly closed the process, and the man came to the secretariat on the very day you said it was even going to close. The same very day, the secretariat was under lock and key. So there was no time that His Excellency Sule Lamido beat or went against that particular order. No, it was the impunity that we have been complaining about that wanted to show up itself. And that alone went to the court, and it was disgracefully thrown out. And the verdict was given to the man. Now, before that particular case, before he instituted, while the case was on, before the judgment was given on the 14th of November, the BOT, led by Senator Wabara, set up a committee of which our own dear elder and leader in the state, our former deputy governor, our former chief of staff to President Goodluck Jonathan, His Excellency Chief Michael Giadume was a member. That committee came out with a resolution that the NWC and NEC and BOT should please, as a matter of urgency, halt every preparation for the national convention and go back to table and use the political option to resolve this issue. But what happened? They paid deaf ear. They labeled that same committee that they set up that the committee has been compromised and that they did not deliver the mandate they were given. Meanwhile, that is to say that they were expecting the committee, of which His Excellency Chief Michael Gadome was a member, to falsify or perhaps turn justice the other way or turn wisdom the other way and say that they should go ahead with the convention, only for them to hurriedly jump into another pit by going to Ibadan State High Court in Oyo State there to get an injunction, an order from the court giving them the go ahead to go with the convention, forgetting or neglecting the voice of wisdom that INEC cannot be joined in that suit in the case that was instituted in the State High Court. And that alone was the keg of gunpowder that destroyed all their approaches before they now went for this particular Federal High Court, Ibadan, which gave her verdict on the 30th of January. So it has been a process that was simple. Adhere to the principle of the constitution that you are sitting on. It's as simple as ABC. We are a society and a party governed by rules. That is how PDP has operated right
All right,
from
thank you so much
1998
for
that
disposition. Moving on from there now, it's already 2026. 2027 is just around the corner. Having all of this internal crisis in the PDP, what does it foretell for the PDP come 2027, the general elections in 2027? What does it foretell for the PDP in terms of, you know, voter confidence even, and, you know, coming up with something good for the next elections?
As it stands today, even before now, the party is under a credible and constitutionally recognized leadership. The NWC as led by Alhaji Abdulrahman Muhammad. So there's never been vacuum in the office of the NWC, all the offices, so to say, as virtue of the cases ongoing. And as it stands today, there is only one opposition known to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Nigerians in diaspora. And that credible and viable and very strong and resilient opposition is the People's Democratic Party. Yes, every institution had their own downtime. The PDP is working out of one. As I speak to you in Edo State, we don't take it by, we are not claiming it by right, and we are not being too arrogant about it. Edo is PDP, and PDP is Edo State. It is an institution that cannot be eroded by anything. It has a court followership across the 192 wards, 18 local governments of the state, and of course the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, including Abuja, that we only lost once, which was just recently in 2023. So as it speaks today, I am the publicity secretary of the state chapter. I know the number of calls I get every day. I will even tell you the truth that Dr. Sonny Duke can bear me witness that it takes him time to get to me. Most time I see his missed call to call back. Some calls will just erode it. So all of the yearning and aspiration of our people is let us come back. Let us come back. We said the party has been there. We are waiting for the right time to kick off. And the time is now. We are going to field candidates for the 2027 general election. And I can bet you, write it down, we are going to win and win spectacularly.
All right, but Mario, let me get you up to speed with this stark reality for the PDP. I think we actually lost count of the number of state governors that have left the platform of the PDP to join the APC. Maybe at the last count, we just have only two PDP governors in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that would be Oyo State and maybe Bauchi State, even though Bauchi State is also very, very shaky. So how do you substantiate the strength of the PDP as it relates to 2027 against this undercurrent of a weakening strength of the party with some of the defections that we have seen in the last couple of days?
Thank you. The strength of our party is not in the governors. The strength of our party is not in any singular leader. The strength of our party today is in the people. And that is why we say the People's Democratic Party. It remains the only party that accommodates all, irrespective of your religion, your creed, your background, or your status. I can relatedly tell you that there were times in various states that the party has been in opposition, and yet we spring back to win elections, even without a governor. I can tell you over and over again, in the time of Governor Adams Aliyu Oshiomhole, we spectacularly won majority of the National Assembly seats. Governor Adams was a performing governor. You remember that. We had 2 senators under him. We had 5 House of Reps members, and we are having majority at the time of the House of Assembly. So it has not been about power brokers. It has been about the people. And if you also check, in PDP Edo State today, we still have some big wigs, some heavy wigs. The likes of Chief Dan O.C. Obi is still a member of the PDP and still a national officer. We have the likes of Barrister Nosa Ogeva, who is the state chairman, a very big wig too. And I can keep on mentioning. We still have the likes of Honorable Pascal Ogbome in the party. We have many of them from across the 192 wards. I can sit here and begin to mention names of heavy wigs that will win every locality for us across the nation too. If you go to other states too,
let me just interject a little bit, which comes from the fact that they're saying that a house divided against itself cannot stand. As we speak today, even within the ambit of the Edo State PDP, you have Daniel Osa Ogbegie Esquire, the publicity secretary of the party in the state. You also claim that position. There's also the Dr. Tony Isaac-Gbemi, who is still in that saddle as the caretaker committee chairman. I heard you mention a certain Ogeva. So we have this scenario playing out. There's so much of factionalization of the party with all the intractable crisis rocking the party, both at the local, state, and federal level. When you put all of this together, doesn't that suggest that the future for the PDP is bleak? More so, you have today a coalition platform like the ADC, which has a convergence of PDP, APC, even the ADC, and the Labour Party, and several other party interests.
Well, I think to answer your question, the first is, when last did you see Adegbemi address the press? It's been a long time. Barrister Dan Ogbege, when last did you see him make a press release or an open statement that he is the publicity secretary of the party? They know. Barrister Dan Ogbege is a lawyer. He will tell you, as far as the judgment is concerned today, he ceases to announce himself anywhere that he is the publicity secretary. And maybe I should help a little. Let me read this from what the court said in Ibadan. The Federal High Court in Ibadan. There are 3 snippets that I want to point out from that judgment. The first one is this. Before his lordship, Honorable Justice Agomo, the first one is this. I hold that the purported National Convention of 15 and 16 November 2025 held at Ibadan and all decisions reached thereat are nullities. The second one says, I hold that the caretaker committee is the only lawful governing body of the PDP that INEC should recognize and relate with. And the third, which is also another bump, this suit is a brazen attempt of the applicant to legitimize itself, to legitimize illegalities done in violation of subsisting court orders. I cannot allow that to sit on appeal over this judgment. The court now said this application fails and is dismissed. And don't forget, upon assumption of office, the Alhaji Abdurrahman led caretaker committee uphold the congresses that were done in Edo State, which gives us the constitutional rights and the national backing and the recognition of both the committee of the caretaker committee and the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as at today under 3 different courts. So if Barrister Dan or Azegbemi is they are parading themselves, they are only trying to enjoy themselves while it lasts. They know that their time is gone. And as a matter of fact, if they continue, we will be forced to arrest them and to prosecute them for impersonation. And they will be dealt with according to the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The court is clear. Nobody is bigger than the court. So whatever Azegbemi is doing, Azegbemi has been a marketer right from time. Everybody knows. He has been a marketer, and as I speak with you today, Azegbemi is divided into 2, black and white, one in ADC, the other one in PDP. He's confused. And
So
PDP
I don't want to hold on, but Mother, just a moment. I don't want us to be personal. I mean, let's look at the issues dispassionately in a very succinct manner so that our audience can make sense of it. Yeah, my colleague here has, yeah.
Bob Manuel, still talking about the implications, which I'm very heavy on. Public trust is one of the things that characterize the outcomes of any election, and is going to also characterize the outcome of the 2027 general elections. Now, there's been a lot of internal crisis in the PDP, and there's been a lot of legal battles. What steps are being taken to protect the PDP's image come the 2027 elections? What steps are being taken amid these crises that the party is currently going through and amid these legal battles?
Despite the fact that you are part of the 4th arm of the of government, you would also remember you can always put together A and B. You have all the history of the People's Democratic Party. When we come to you to campaign, you will judge us by our antecedents, not by the issue bedeviling the party. Yes, there are crises in every political party, and PDP is not exempted. But does it take away the power of PDP to always produce credible leadership? No. Does it take away the ability of PDP to organize and reorganize government? No. I tell you today, when we go out there, the people are crying to us. Insecurity is bedeviling this nation. Hunger and starvation, things are on the increase. Inflation has never seen before, has taken over the shores of this nation, especially Edo State. And the people of Edo State, especially those from Central, they cry to us on a daily basis. I know the number of calls we have made and all the rest of it. So comparing Nigeria to comparing PDP, a party that has produced great men who have labored and paid sacrifices for this nation, is not even compared to what APC has done. So when we come out there, we have a dossier on us. We have our antecedents. We have a report that we are going to show to the people again. We don't even need to show to them. Hearing the name PDP alone, everybody, the morale will be high. So we are coming out to 2027, not just to make a statement, but to reclaim the grounds and to bring back to the doorstep of every citizen of Edo State what is missing today, which is good governance, security of life and property, upon which every other thing will be crested. So the PDP has been known for all this. That is what we are coming back. We don't need much announcement to the people. We don't need to make noise. Just to traverse the 192 wards and of course the 36 states of Nigeria is a statement, let alone calling you and asking for your vote. So the people can easily relate between the PDP and the APC and the Labour Party. It is not an emotional matter. Politics is not an emotional matter. It's a matter of wit, capacity, and guts. And when it comes to this, PDP has it. Across the 24 constituencies, I can tell you face to face that there is no gimmicks that the APC will put up that will make the APC to win 50% of the 24 assemblies. There is no gimmick that the APC will put up that will make them to win 50% of the 9 federal constituencies. No gimmicks will make them to win 25% of the Senate.
But Manu, let me just interject. Let me interject you at this point and give me your take on some of the concerns that what's happening right now in the PDP is not really self-inflicted, but more about the external or extraneous forces trying to weaken the party and make it sort of decimate the party and incapacitate it in its ability to have a frontal, confrontation with the ruling party in the forthcoming, 2027 election, which means the party in power is using people like you and several others, like Ian Wike in FCT, to weaken the party and make it unattractive and make it incapacitated ahead of the elections.
That's not true. That is opinion put forth by political weaklings who cannot maintain their immediate environment. Is it the opposition that asks PDP not to follow its own law, that asks the leaders so to say this, whatever we are passing through today is self-inflicted and is engineered into the party, or it's somersaulted into the party by those who have this flair and this brazen want for impunity, greed, and arrogance? It's just what it is. It is not about the opposition, either APC or Labour Party or anything. No. Was it President Tinubu that said they should not obey court order? Was it President Tinubu that said they cannot go to a common table? Was it President Tinubu that told Sheyi Makinde and Bala Mohammed to go to PDP secretariat and be shooting people at will? No. Was it President Tinubu or any of the governors from the APC that told them to disregard court orders and injunctions? No. These things are trade of ego. Trade of ego. And guess what? These are people who were not in the party from beginning. They were just like, what do we call them? The mixed multitude who joined the children of Israel out of Egypt, on their way out of Egypt to Canaan land. I'm talking about Governor Nyesom Wike, His Excellency the FCT minister. He's not the first person to work in an opposition party. He's not. It's not. During the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo, in fact, the only position recognized by the Constitution then, the federal, the only ministerial position recognized by the Constitution there, was the Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It was given to the late Chief Bola Ige of the AD. Heavens did not fall. The Bala Mohammed that is joining Sheyi Makinde to organize Amala Convention today, where was he? As at the time he came to PDP, he was still in APC. Yes, he was still in APC when he came to join President Goodluck Jonathan. So why is he complaining? He has been a minister before he officially decamped to join the PDP. So this is not peculiar to Wike alone. And guess what? His Excellency Nyesom Wike did what every one of them did not do. First, he wrote to his ward, he wrote to his local government, he wrote to the state, he wrote to the South Zone. Chief Danosi Obi was and still the chairman as at then. He cannot deny this. And he wrote to the Damagun-led administration. Under Damagun, he wrote to them. They all gave him the nod that he should go ahead. At a point in time, even the Damagun himself said that those who have personal issue with His Excellency Nyesom Wike should go and settle those issues, that he has not breached any section of the Constitution. So it is not about Wike trying to please Asiwaju or anybody trying to please Asiwaju. Like you mentioned, mine was simple. I would not allow a man who failed woefully, who failed in all sense of governance, to produce a successor. Because success without a good leader who leaves office can produce a successor. But a bad leader, what is he going to produce? And that was why I said no. I openly came out. I did not hide. I said, "Oh, but
Mary, let me get you. Let me just steer the direction of the conversation a little bit. You talked so eloquently about Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, in terms of how he got to where he is today. But it's a record that the intractable crisis that has engulfed Rivers State in recent time has produced one thing and one thing only: the decimation of PDP in Rivers State. We've seen Siminalayi Fubara, His Excellency Governor of Rivers State, moved to the APC. So what does that mean about Wike's leadership and his intention towards the PDP?
You just mentioned Siminalayi Fubara. That's the twin brother to the worst twin brother to Governor Godwin Obaseki. Well, for Rivers State, I am an Edo man. Whatever is happening in Rivers State is for River people, and I think the River issue is a show of capacity and, of course, legality. His Excellency Siminalayi Fubara, just like Governor Obaseki that I likened him to, both of them have one thing in common: their affinity to say no or to disregard the law. You have a governor who has refused to submit his budget to the House of Assembly. You have a governor who has refused to follow constitutional process, and you expect him to have peace. Going to APC is not even the solution. As Rivers State is today, I can comfortably tell you that there is no PDP, there is no APC, there is no SDP or any political party that is not aligned with the leadership of Jason Wike. You see, what people are looking for is leadership. And when that leadership is covered or clothed with capacity and sincerity, people follow you willfully. If you check what they did days ago, it will tell you that Fubara was just on his own. So, well, it's not about, even if Fubara is given the ticket of the APC as of today, the strength of the PDP there will liquidate him in 5 minutes. I'm telling you the truth. Before election start 8 o'clock, before 2 o'clock, Fubara is gone. So as of today, what we have in Rivers State is different from every other state. Rivers State is in a harmonious political relationship, very united and very different from what we have in every other clime. So we have a little jurisdiction or no jurisdiction to even speak on that type. But as political commentators, analysts, and of course, by my party position, of which I have never denied, His Excellency Jason Wike is my national leader, and I am very, very at peace with him and his decision. And I can tell you...
What does this... Let me ask you, what does this portend for our democracy when we continue to create powerful individuals at the detriment of powerful institutions?
Well, when we create powerful individuals, I don't think we have created powerful individuals.
Like you just mentioned.
Wike is only a very sound and good leader who knows where to lead the people to when and how. Don't think it's that bad. Wike, if you remove the people around him, it's not powerful. It is the people that make him powerful. And why would the people make you powerful? Because they believe in your leadership skill, your acumen. You have delivered the way they want. Sir, let me tell you this. When your child comes to ask for school fees, you give the child. He asks for food, you give the child. And you tell the child what to do and what not to do. That child obeys you. Wike has provided the needed leadership for today's politics. What we are seeing now is breath of fresh air, that we can sit on a political table and harmonize, as against the do-or-die affair introduced by our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, where in that period, the early days of our democracy, we have series of assassination and the rest. You can attest to it that in the past 1 decade, political assassination is almost zero. And it's because of this kind of renewed alliance, this kind of new system of politicking, where we understand that we are first Nigerians before being politicians. What is more important is we trying to build the society. So which party or who is leading who is not the issue. It is for us to have a common ground. And I think that is what Rivers is leading the whole nations to. And rather than criticize that aspect, we should, for me, we should try to harmonize ourselves and, of course, advance that political system and let it operate in every society. And you would attest to it that even in Edo State, in one way or the other, we did it in 2024 when sections of the opposition, of the ruling and opposition came together to say Obaseki would not be allowed. Why? Because it killed our security architecture, killed our economy, killed our traditional institution, almost killed our traditional institution, and it glorified cultism and all abnormalities in the state. And we came together. And
these are very weighty allegations that are subjective, that we cannot immediately have, a very objective perspective on. So let's try and stay on course, Bob Manuel, as we conclude this.
We will not say we cannot substantiate it. As of today, to let you know that the economy was bastardized under Obaseki, the EFCC has placed him on a watch list. And if he has performed well, Obaseki that I know will work with high shoulders. But here we have a man who left office more than 30 days to the explanation.
All right, but Manuel, I want us to stay on the conversation we're looking at. I mean, I know that when you have a discussion of this nature, there's always that high tendency to dovetail into other issues. But I want us to come back and just close it up here in line with some of the issues that we raised about the prospect of the PDP in the forthcoming 2027 election against the background of this gamut of challenges that are bedeviling the party as we have insight and foresight into next general election. But I'd like to thank you, Mobile Man Bob Manuel Umoru, a chieftain of the PDP, for creating the time to join us on the program this morning. Many thanks again for staying with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. It's still TMI on the ITV network. I'm sure my colleague Kadri from our Abuja network studio is on standby to take the conversation away, particularly looking at the issue of insecurity and the role of the military. And I know that one major issue that came forth in recent time is the issue of coup. And when it came out, there were a lot of, skepticisms about it, more with the fact that even the armed forces, the security agencies denied it, particularly the defense headquarters denied it. But we know that, I think last week, the defense headquarters, confirmed there was a coup attempt. And then, of course, names of those who were alleged to have been involved were also brought out. All right, and that's particularly the reason why we saw the Independence Day, October 1st, not being celebrated the way it was supposed to have been celebrated. But all of that is in the public space now. But I'm sure in talking about the insecurity situation in the country, Kadri will help us make sense of all of that with a guest from our Abuja network studio after this time. Stay with us.
The Oba of Benin added a colorful mood to the year's celebration as he walks round the city center amidst cheers.
Still this morning on ITV, thanks for being there. And now we'll be looking at the wave of terrorism and, of course, military intervention, and we'll stretch to look at other issues of insecurity. Of course, the botched coup that happened last year is also something we'll talk about. There are names already released, and we'll find out in the course of the program what will be happening to them. We know that the court-martialing has already started, but we'll be getting details and, of course, letting you know how it is going. But for this discussion, of course, wave of insecurity and military intervention, I have with me a legal practitioner based here in Abuja, Barrister Abdul Karim Musa. Very good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me just get your opening remark concerning where we are now. If you just oppose it from where we are coming from, what is the situation like in terms of terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping?
Yes, concerning the subject of discussion, national security, what we have in Nigeria is not national security because the government is not awoken to its basic responsibility of the protection of the lives and properties of Nigerians. What we have is government security, which is the protection of those in power. The government has set up structures to protect themselves, either to manage or mismanage the resources of the Nigerian people, because a juxtaposition of the state of the nation in terms of security in the previous years and what we have now is effort without result. I have not seen anything worthy of commending done by this present administration to tackle insecurity. And why do I say so? A lot of money is being allocated for the purpose of tackling insecurity. But when we look at the result, it seems like the resources allocated to tackle insecurity is so giantile and elephantile, while the result we are getting from the battle against insurgency and insecurity in Nigeria is so infantile. So I am quite disappointed, and the way Nigeria is heading towards a state where we can describe it as a failed or a failing state, which is quite a disappointment to me. So my desire is that government arises to its responsibility to protect the lives and properties of the Nigerian people, rather than making excuses or waiting for international intervention before they do the needful.
Yeah, but we have seen that intervention from the U.S., and to an extent we have also noticed that the terrorism, banditry, kidnapping has simmered down. So it's an action that is long overdue, although it came late, but it's really changing the situation.
Yes, you see, the truth is that the impact of the U.S. intervention in the security of Nigeria, I must say, is a relief. Many have argued that the intervention of the U.S. in Nigeria's insecurity challenges is an affront on the sovereignty of Nigeria as a nation. And I quite agree. But that argument is without regards to the victims of this insurgency. Because if you're in an area where you are constantly being attacked by bandits, at that moment, your family are being killed, your community men are being killed. You don't care about foreign or international image of Nigeria anymore. You just want to be safe. So to be
irrespective of where it's coming from.
Irrespective of where it's coming from. So while that is a relief to the Nigerian people in the communities where insecurity is thriving, it's an affront on the international image and the sovereignty of a country like Nigeria. Why should we wait until another sovereign state intervene in our situation before we take reasonable action? What has the U.S. done that Nigeria couldn't have done? In fact, in the whole activity that has been carried on to quell the insecurity ongoing in Nigeria, there is no technology that has been deployed that anybody can argue that Nigeria did not have the capacity to deploy before the intervention of the U.S. So it's just about the willpower and the focus of the government. So it exposed the Nigerian government as being a very unserious government. So assuming there was a technology that we could say reasonably Nigeria did not have the capacity to or the resources to acquire this technology, then we can now say, okay, we justify the indolence of the government. But for now, there's no justification for the indolence of the government. In fact, I saw a video recently of an organization who went to Yewata, where over 200 people were killed recently, built 35 homes, and they were sending a message to the federal government of Nigeria that they have done their own part. So it is now left for the federal government to protect the people and protect the community, and that they are watching. This is an organization from the United States of America. That's embarrassing, because the primary duty of government, protection of life and property of the Nigerian people.
The resources at your disposal. Yeah, that aspect, barrister, is
Yes,
within the resources at your disposal.
Yes.
If that is your duty, given by the provision of the Constitution, how do you do that if you don't have the resources? Because it was the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, who went to the U.S. in 2018, I stand to be corrected, met with Trump and said, look, I need some Tucano jets. right? So I can effectively, tackle the insurgency. And the president approved the construction of 4 Tucano jets because they are not in the market. They are not equipment that you just go and buy.
Yes.
And I think it took about 4 years, about 2-3 years before those Tucano jets were ready, which means that we do not have the required military hardware to prosecute insurgency. So when from those school of thoughts, if they are actually blaming the government for opening up the space for foreign support, do you think they are doing that, with all level of patriotism or for politics?
I think that approach is just a political approach, and it's an irresponsible argument that they did not have what kind of jets to tackle. Because the problem of insurgency and insecurity in Nigeria is not weapons and arms per se. It begins from the responsibility of government towards attending to the needs of the Nigerian people, because insecurity does not just emerge. Insecurity emerges out of other governmental factors like unemployment, like other factors that tend to encourage people into subscribing to activities that are unlawful to earn a living. So Nigeria cannot just tackle insurgency by buying weapons. They must make insurgency an unfavorable endeavor for people. Today, insurgents, we are negotiating with bandits. When bandits are arrested, they are being rehabilitated. Meanwhile, when somebody steals something petty in the market, he's being prosecuted.
I don't think that rehabilitation for bandits is still ongoing.
No, it's not ongoing.
That was the policy of the former administration. I'm not sure Tinubu is in tune with that policy, where you arrest those who have killed and you say, okay, we forgive you, come here, stay for 6 weeks, let's rehabilitate you, and then go back to the community.
Yes.
I don't think the military...
No. We've not heard anything like that of recent. But the point I was trying to drive at is that it is not responsible to make the argument that you do not have the capacity when you have not accounted for the little that you have, the resources that you have, and the weapons at your disposal. How prudently have you utilized them in addressing the issues of insecurity that you are now complaining that you don't have jets? What are you going to use the jets for? How many we see bandits on TikTok displaying currency that they collected from victims of kidnap, and the government does not even know the address of the place. So the place that the United States of America...
But I think that has reduced now. We don't see that...
the thing is that it will be too early to begin to...
U.S. intervention is really helping.
Yes. Well, like I said, we cannot deny the fact that it has been a relief. That notwithstanding, sir, we cannot also commend that the government, because as it is too early to begin to celebrate when they are kidnapping people every day. So the bandit could have just gone on an holiday. So no measure has been put in place different from what we used to see before to now say that Nigeria is now serious with tackling insecurity. Rather, we are doing a window cleaning of the image of Nigeria. What the Nigerian government is doing is a window cleaning rather than actually attending to the security needs of the Nigerian people. They are going to having international talks. No, sir. You should take serious and responsible steps to show to the international community that you have arisen to the security challenges that you have, rather than having unnecessary meetings. Deploy the troops that you have. Let policemen, let all the forces be involved in tackling security. But you see, the security men of the ruling class of the Nigerian people is even, in my view, higher than the security. The number of security men that are tackling insurgency. You see, we are talking. Soul is what? It's immeasurable. People in today's Nigeria, you hear that 200 people are killed, and it's seeming like a normal thing. It's unfortunate. it's really unfortunate. So in my view, while I consider the U.S. intervention as a relief, I do not find it worthy of commending the government at this point yet. I know that effort has been put, but Nigerians are not looking for effort. Nigerians are looking for results.
Yeah, you know, what we expect from government in terms of insecurity is to prevent and to rescue. Prevent. That is, if you have been able to gather intels of a planned attack, you foil it. If you didn't get the intel and the attack is done, and people are taken or kidnapped, your other role is to ensure that you bring them home, right? We saw in the late 2025, schools were shut down because intels were gathered. If you allow the schools to be open, more students may not come back home. And that's applaudable. We also saw in that same year, people were abducted and most of them released, right? These are measures, you know, laid down by government. Don't you think that if this is sustained, the war against insecurity will be addressed in the near future?
No, I don't think that all the getting intel, suspending school.
No, I'm not saying.
Yes, I know that's an example we are giving. You got intel, you are trying to prevent what you can eradicate.
Which could also be used in other areas.
Sir.
If you get intels of bandit or terrorists planning to, you know, ransack a community, you can go there and foil it.
That's a very ancient approach. Because as it is now, you see, it begins from, like I said earlier, setting measures in place to make banditry, insurgency, and terrorism unfavorable and unpalatable. It begins with the seriousness in prosecuting of the people you apprehend for banditry. Now, if you go to the courts today, you see that the people who are being charged under Terrorism Act are critics, government critics, human rights activists that speak against government. They will not charge you for terrorism. They'll say you have committed treason. Not the real terrorists.
No, but there are those.
So who is a prominent terrorist who we can say, oh, this number of persons were involved in the attack on Yerwata and they have been prosecuted and sentenced accordingly. We don't have a reasonable number of people.
For the Yelwata's own.
Yes, sir.
Well, as a journalist, I am aware that some of them have been arrested. And as we speak, they will be arraigned today at the Federal High Court. And that is a plus to the government. And that is a signal to others to desist from, you know, continuing in this venture.
Yes, that's a good move. The prosecution of suspects of terrorism is it's good, but it's like I said, premature congratulations would weaken the government's effort towards combating insecurity. And I do not want to participate in prematurely congratulating the government or hailing the government for combating insecurity when up to today people are still being kidnapped in several parts of the country. So the government must arise to its basic responsibility to protect citizens. Even the government themselves cannot travel around Nigeria without heavy security, but they do not consider the Nigerians who are plying the roads on a daily basis and risking their lives because of the terrorism and the insurgency that abounds in our society today. So, like I was saying, it is good that you begin from prosecuting the offenders, making the venture unfavorable and unproductive for those who participate in it, and deploying recent modern technology in combating terrorism. We know where this banditry takes place majorly. You would hear that in a state or in a community, bandits have attacked over 2-3 times, but at every point of attack, there's no record, even a single picture or video of the attack, except as is being made by the terrorists themselves. So as little as drones, as little as security cameras planted in places that we know that these bandits ply, we should have. At least if you know that, if you are ready to combat a situation that is bedeviling you, set up measures so that if you know that a thief is always climbing your fence every day, buy a camera, put it there. Even if you cannot catch the thief, at least you will now be able to trace his steps. Nigeria is so lost as to the activities of terrorists. In a government that is negotiating with terrorists has not even shown us any technology that is being put in place to even apprehend these people. Any effort that has been made, we have not seen.
But do you think it's wise for government to show us technology deployed to tackle this?
While they are in the process of doing it, it might not be wise to deploy, to let us know. But if you achieve results, you can let us know. But because there is no result, because if you look at world politics, this is not the only nation that has been bedeviled by terrorism. You can take, record of events like this that have happened in places like Iraq and other parts of the world. You can see how the Americans intervened. You can see that during their intervention, we did not have details of their strategy, but upon achieving success in those areas, they released the approach deployed in apprehending some of these kingpins, some of these prominent actors in terrorism. It seems that Nigeria, the government, is involved and indulgent in the insecurity that is bedeviling Nigeria today, and that is the greatest fear that we have, that the government has become docile or participants in the issues of security in Nigeria. And it is my earnest position that Nigeria must rise. Let us not be too quick to commend efforts that have not yielded manifest results. That's just basically.
While Nigeria is really grappling with the issue of insecurity and, well, like it or not, some very minute successes recorded, one would wonder why, some officers in the Nigerian army really planned to overthrow the president last year. And just recently, after back and forth of, well, it is true, not true, it has been confirmed, and names have been released by the defense headquarters. And on that list, we have Brigadier General Musa Abubakar Sadiq. He's from Nasarawa 44 regular course. We also have Colonel Magaji, he's from Naja. Then Lieutenant Colonel Bapa Bauchi, Lieutenant Colonel Hayatu Kaduna, Lieutenant Colonel Dangana Plateau, Lieutenant Colonel Alamakura Nasarawa, Major Ibrahim Gombe, Major Jidda Kassina, Major Usman of the FCT 68th regular course, and then Major Yusuf from Gombe. Others are Major Daudu Jigawa, Captain Bello, DSSC 43, Captain Yusuf, Lieutenant Felix, and then you have Lieutenant Commander Abdullahi, and then the last one here is Squadron Leader Adamu, of course from the Nigerian Air Force. What happened, in your opinion?
Well, you see, my view is that the worst civilian government is still better than the best military government, because the world has moved from military intervention in issues. The military government has shown over the years to be draconian, to be authoritarian and dictatorial. And for a nation to grow, views must be allowed, dissenting views must be allowed.
Especially the absence of freedom of speech.
Especially the absence of freedom of speech. And one of the characters of democracy or good governance is that even the minorities' views are accommodated, while majorities' view takes the day. So we cannot afford any military intervention. I cannot see that the military intervention is rooted in any good idea for the Nigerian people. It is rooted in selfishness and a desire to take power for personal benefit. I applaud the Nigerian government for taking charge and prosecuting these people that are involved in this coup. It is not law for Nigeria that has made them to attempt any coup. They don't love Nigeria. If they love Nigeria, they should take the responsibility of combating the insurgency first. There are military men in this country who are suffering persecution over their involvement in battling terrorism. There is a man called Major General Ali Kefi. He has fought against insurgency in this country. He has made several investigations and come up with several reports under the previous government. What is the government of the day doing with the report of Major General Ali Kefi, where he mentioned names of prominents, including the former Attorney General, as being linked with terrorism financiers? Today, the former Attorney General is being prosecuted for the same issue. But what about the other people that Major General Ali Kefi identified as being linked with terrorism financiers who are big boys in government? So there have been issues bedeviling the security of Nigerians. These who entered this coup should have shown Nigerians that they are more determined to battle the insecurity facing Nigeria, to protect the sovereignty and integrity of this territory, rather than struggling to grapple power. They have not shown to the Nigerian people any goodwill that should make them deserve power. They are just hungry people for power. If you are hungry for power, you resign from military and go and contest election. You don't try to take power by coup. Yeah. So I commend the Nigerian government. I deprecate the conduct of these soldiers. I do not find their effort commendable in any manner, and I advocate for a fair prosecution, so that those who are not involved. Yeah,
but from the information gathered, the coup is actually supposed to be a bloody one. So if you are saying it should be fair, I mean,
no, I mean the prosecution should be fair in terms of the fact that, you know, allegations can be wild, and so it can involve. There's a possibility that you now make allegations against people who were not involved. Maybe your friend was involved. You are always seen with the person, and you know this kind of prosecution. You just pick people because of proximity and all that. So those kind of things must be carefully monitored. But then those that are truly involved must be made to face the consequences of their action. Not because people do not have the right to attempt to overthrow a full government that is no longer serving the people, but because at any time where any group of persons desire to overthrow a government that they feel is no longer serving the people that it is meant to serve, such group of people and such agenda must be seen to be rooted in the interest of the Nigerian populace. Those army, by their training, for instance, I'm by training a lawyer, and my core focus in the society is to do justice and to engender that justice. So as a military man, your obsession should be about ensuring security in Nigeria. So have we seen a letter from you to the Chief of Army Staff applying that, please, I want to be posted to a region where there is so much insecurity? Because we have not seen such, because the desire and the love is not towards ensuring security, protecting the Nigerian people, but just to grapple power, and that's why I deprecate their conduct.
There are many issues that actually led to it based on what is available. But let's just take one, because our time, you know, is really fast spent, which is the fact that the colonel was aggrieved because of his posting.
Well, that's quite unfortunate, because that's so personal, it's so selfish. We thank God that people like that have no business near power. in the service of your nation. Was there nobody in that place you were posted to before you? Are you better? Are you more Nigerian than the person who was there? You will soon leave there and another person will come there.
Base there.
And there's a base there. So
it's supposed to be mounted by a serving military.
That's an indisciplined officer. That excuse is so personal and so selfish, so self-motivated and self-driven that such people must thoroughly be caged. They must not be allowed anywhere near power to say that because you were aggrieved as a result of a posting lawfully that you feel you are better than, and then the only way you can address your grievance is by attempting a coup. No. I deprecate the conduct of any officer that is involved with this. This is not the spirit even with which the previous soldier men attempted coup in Nigeria. Even the previous coup was not driven in such mundane, self-driven, self-centered sentiment. When you heard of coup in previous times, it was due to the fact that this army felt that the civilians were not managing the government well, and it was an attempt to intervene. Well, unfortunately, they did not have the training to occupy such positions, because to be a president, you must be elected. So, because they do not have those trainings, they tend to be more draconian, authoritarian, and dictatorial.
And even when they eventually get to power, they even perform worse
than the civilian government that they criticize. But in those days, you can at least commend them that, it was due, they had the passion to save Nigeria, but they don't have the experience, the expertise, and the legitimacy to do so. In this case, there's no law for Nigeria. It's just the law for the resources of the Nigerian people, and an unlawful and a backyard attempt to tamper with the resources of the Nigerian people. So we thank God that they are being arrested and prosecuted.
Thank you so much, a legal practitioner based here in Abuja, Barrister Abdul Karim Musa. It's a draconian. So, I mean, those adjectives are so heavy, and I'm sure that those watching will just, is he a barrister and a professor? All right, but honestly, I think it is about 27 years we returned back to democracy. Why don't we continue to enjoy it? It's really better than the best of any military government. Thank you so much once again for your time with us. This is where we wrap up, and we'll be going to Lagos for continuation of the program this morning on ITV.
This is Anegbete community, situated in Isako Central Local Government area of Edo State. It is an agrarian community with united people that promotes unity and oneness for peaceful coexistence. The inhabitants of the community migrated from Benin, the cradle of black civilization, a kingdom where king is truly king. The ancestors of Anegbete saw that age was the main determinant of leadership in the rural setting, and the eldest man in the settlement was regarded as the leader who presided over meetings, and his authority is held in high esteem. To further strengthen this unique system of leadership, age group evolved in Anegbete. In Anegbete, age group is categorized into two, that is the common and the noble. Anegbete is rich in cultural heritage, as the community at noon saw the commitment of the festival with the first set roll out in beauty colors to showcase their might and strength, indicating their feet and ready for the responsibilities behold on them. The streets in the community with a feed up of young men and women adorned with the festival. Later, the royal family takes the stage as their children fight out royally and work in the community to showcase their might and fitness.
My leader.
This is Ahwa Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of famine. It is also relevant in our coronation in Africa. It is a sport and indeed very interesting, as every seed had a role in the game.
Many thanks for staying with us. We're still on TMI this beautiful morning on ITV. I am Marcelina Unkwa. And this morning, our guest today that would be helping us analyze today's topic is Mr. Agbola Odunfa. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, it is our political analyst. It would be helping us analyze today's topic. So today we're talking about court nullifies PDP National Convention, implications for party leaderships and the 2027 forthcoming election. Nigerians' main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, is once again in the spotlight, this time over a court ruling that has thrown its leadership into uncertainty. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has nullified the PDP National Convention held in November 2025, declaring it illegal and setting aside all decisions taken at that convention. The judgment has effectively sacked the leadership that emerged from the exercise and deepened the internal crisis within the party, with serious implications for the PDP's preparation ahead of the 2027 general election. So what exactly happened? Why did the court intervene at this point? And what does this mean for the future of PDP as Nigerian a whole? According to the court, the Ibadan Convention was held, according to them, in violation of existing orders as all of Paris National Office Party. Since Reconciliation Committee at this point as the legitimate leadership of the PDP until a fresh and proper conduct and convention is held. However, Mr. Agbola, the faction affected by the ruling has rejected the judgment at this point and proceeded to the Court of Appeal, insisting that the leadership crisis is far from over, that it is not over. You know, PDP has been here and there, and PDP is the main, let me just say, is the main opposition to the ruling party, which is the APC. And we've been seeing a lot of things happening in PDP, defections from the party to APC to other party, and we also saw the Wike pro-faction stuff that have been going on, this PDP convention. You know, when I saw this particular story on social media, or that the court has nullified the convention, you know, I was thinking, would PDP still stand a chance for this forthcoming 2027 election?
It's quite unfortunate. And to answer your last question, if this crisis continue, PDP may not have the chance to stand in election for 2027. Already, all party faithfuls, especially the governors and those with interest to contest the election, by-election and all that, are already defected because it is difficult for them to contest on the platform of PDP, as it were, because there are now two groups parading themselves as PDP, and the cases are in court. So it may affect them when they win election on the platform of PDP, because we don't know where the ball will swing to eventually, you know, when the dust settles at the courts. Now, be that as it may, I will blame the Governor Makinde faction, because there was a court ruling stopping them from going ahead with the convention, because it is normal, you know, for people for court to rule, and it is wise for those concerned to respect that ruling. You see, they would have gone back to that court to overturn or ask for stay of execution to enable them, you know, conduct the convention successfully. But the way it is now, it is difficult for that team to stand. You know.
It is difficult for PDP to stand at this point.
Yes.
And we know that the court has banned Turaki and others from parading themselves as national officers at this point. What does it mean in practical terms?
It means that that team, that group, that Turaki team, which is also the Governor Makinde team, cannot field any candidate for any election. As you know, there's an upcoming election in Osho, there's an upcoming election in Ekiti, there's an upcoming election in Abuja as well. PDP cannot field any candidate. Even the Wike faction cannot field any candidates.
So do you think Wike is smiling at this point with what is happening?
Of course, Wike is smiling. Wike is dancing. You know, even at the last, I think over the weekend, he was at a rally for renewed hope. You know, campaigning for the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You know, Wike is one of the top agents. You know, flying the flag of APC.
APC, yeah.
President Tinubu. You now wonder what is actually going on. You know, a man that still claims to be PDP
is here and here at the same time.
Know, so you now understand where the problem is coming from. You know, we don't even know who to trust. You know, if you are PDP, PDP is supposed to be the hope of the people, the major opposition. Now, you are leading a faction that is throwing clogs to the wheel of your party, which is supposed to be the main opposition. Then you are also challenging the party. Meanwhile, you are in another party flying the flag of the president, which you're supposed to be challenging. And we heard the president say sometimes last year, that he's always happy when he sees his opposition in disarray. So PDP is currently in disarray, and that tells us where the shots are being fired from. And it's quite unfortunate. So the way it is, PDP is on its knees at the moment, not totally dead, because if they are able to come together and, because that's the only thing that can solve the problem, they have to return to the round table and discuss and negotiate, because there is no how the problem is going to be solved in court, because both factions will continue to go to court. Like the Turaki faction have come back to court to appeal.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and it will drag on. Well, but it will go from appeal to supreme.
So I was actually coming to that. Do you think it's that is a strong legal strategy, because they are said, the Turaki faction has said that there's no cause for alarm. We're going to the court to appeal. Do you think that will help?
Well, it may help, but when? You know, where we are currently in strong political season. No political party in their right senses or in their wisdom should be in court at the moment. You know, there should be continuous discussion. That is, if they become like-minded and their aim, you know, becomes the same. Because the way it is, they are representing different opinion and different choices. That makes the discussion difficult, and that makes the crisis prolonged. You know, because the government in power are the owners of the court. So it is when the court places that the case will be called upon, and it is when the court places that they will administer or offer judgment. So, but who knows what the judgment will be?
Yeah, true.
You know, so it keeps the PDP on its knees.
So it's kept the PDPs on its knees. Okay, I want you to tell our viewers at this point, why do legal battles within political parties matters for democratic governance in Nigeria?
Okay, it is simple. It is democracy. You know, party members, party leaders assume that because they have money, because they have connections, because they have power, they do what they like, disobeying the party constitution and disobeying the Nigerian constitution. So it is in line for people or for members to go to court to seek interpretation and to challenge these actions. It may not be a wise decision if dialogue can be respected and carried out. And also, it may not be a wise decision when the person that goes to court have ulterior motive for going to court. Because, of course, going to court alters the progress and the speed of party. Of course, going to court also throws the party in disarray, making it difficult for them to excel at the polls. Because why do we have political parties? Is to field candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And the crisis that we're talking about is not just in PDP. It's in all opposition parties.
All opposition parties,
All
not just
opposition
including
parties.
the ADC and all.
Yes, including the ADC. Well, ADC for now is one of the strongest parties because as PDP is in disarray, ADC is gaining strength because 80% or 90% of those in ADC at the moment are PDP members.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you've seen NNPP crisis in Kano, with the governor defecting. Of course, there's crisis in Labour Party. So it's quite a trying moment for PDP at this moment, and the only solution, in my own opinion, is dialogue, because court cannot settle it. It's only a waste of time.
So at this point, courts cannot settle, just dialogue.
Yes, because we're in 2026,
mm-hmm.
and all party primaries is supposed to be concluded this year. Timetables are out. So going to court is a long delay, and the major people that are affected are the members of that party and those that are willing to contest the next election.
I mean, election is just by the corner.
Yes. So if, for instance, a member wishes to contest and the member is PDP, it is difficult for the member to get a nomination form in PDP and say you want to vie for election, because the court will be waiting for you, that the party, the faction that you belong does not have the right to field candidates. Now, the option left for such candidates or such intending aspirant is to go defect to another party. And in that party, of course, there will be people or aspirants as well that are willing to contest. So the aspirants will now have to challenge a new challenge in the new party, making his emergence difficult. Even the governors that are defecting are going to face similar challenges, because in those parties there are aspirants as well willing to contest for the position that they came in for.
So you mean the governors that have been defecting, they will face the same challenges?
Of course. Almost all of them will face the same challenges.
Well, I don't think they're actually thinking about that, because most of the governors that have defected, they're either having issues with their own party, saying, okay, the party is in this crisis, or the party is going through this, so I just feel the next party. And majority of them that have been defecting, either from PDP or from NNPP, we saw that the governor defected recently. Majority of them have been going to the APC, and this has got a lot of people talking, saying that, does it mean that Nigeria now currently is going to be a one-party system?
You see, over time, the ruling party will always want to attract more members, more bigwigs into their folds. They offer them various incentives, increased allocation, approval of a lot of projects, elephant projects also with it, just to woo the governors and the party representative in this in opposition parties, so that to weaken the opposition. Because if you take, for instance, if you take a governor out of a party in a state, that's the backbone. That's the major backbone of that party in that state, in terms of moral and financial support. So, ruling party will go to any length to woo opposition leaders, so that the party in that state becomes weaker, and makes it difficult for them to challenge the ruling party itself. But it does not end if what you do is to attract members, more members to your fold, and you want to create a one-party system. Now, what will now remain for you to face is the people, because it now becomes APC versus Nigerians, because the concern of the people is their welfare.
Exactly.
Is their lifestyle, their living. How fair has the ruling party done in governance? How fair has they been able to improve security, which matters to people? What is the position of infrastructure? These are the determinant in the next election, because even the APC itself, there is crisis. We've heard the northern leaders saying that the president will have a lot to face with them. That they're not going to support him.
Okay, talking about the crisis, we have seen similar internal crisis in other parties. So is this PDP's case unique or part of a wider problem in Nigerian's party system? Because, I mean, there are internal crises in other parties. Why is PDP's own different?
PDP's case is unique because it is the PDP that handed over to APC, and PDP is still stronger. Even those that, some of those that have defected from PDP just for the purpose of election are still PDP members. So they are the major opposition, and the ruling party is concerned about PDP. They are concerned about their strength. So they will go to any length to ensure that PDP remains weak. So the focus, the attention is more on PDP. That is why you see that the crisis is very loud than what you have in other parties, because there are big wigs in PDP.
So what we are seeing now is, with what we've been saying, this particular situation that is happening with PDP now has given advantage to the rival parties, like the APC, Labour Party, ADC, and all of that for 2027.
Yes, and it's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse if the party leaders don't consider or take dialogue very seriously. You can imagine where you have a strong opposition party and they cannot field any candidate. They can't even field a councillor.
I had a guest that said PDP should just relax for 2027 election. Maybe they should be looking at the other one coming, not this 2027, because I mean 2027 is close and it's just by the corner. If their house is not in order at this point, they should forget about it.
Yes, that is the major mission of the ruling party, to ensure that PDP is totally dead.
So let's talk about the current ruling party, APC. Yes. Now, do you think APC stand a chance for next election? Okay, looking at what has been happening in the country in terms of insecurity, infrastructure. Okay, I just want us to talk briefly. I don't know if you heard of the girl that died a snake bite in Abuja. I mean, she was bitten by a snake. She went to the hospital, and the hospital did not have antivenom. You know, in Abuja, FCT for that matter, you know, if they got antivenom, probably she would have been alive today. So looking at all those things, infrastructure, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of insecurity, do you still think the president, I mean, now, especially now that the country is looking like a one-party system, you made mention that it's now about between APC and the people. With these all things that have been happening, do you think the people will still want the current administration to still roll next to win the forthcoming 2027 election?
To start with, I must express my condolence to the families of the lady that passed on because of snake bite.
Yeah.
It is sad to know that, you know, because I was following the story, it is sad to know that we barely have up to 50 hospitals in Nigeria that have antivenom vaccine.
The whole of Nigeria.
The whole of Nigeria. Now, a country like Nigeria, where you have a series of reptiles, we have scorpions, we have snakes. So that is a looming danger, you know. So it shows, it now tells you the focus of politicians or governments, you know, where they are allocating huge sums of money for cars, for entertainment, for newspaper, for furniture, and then they are allocating a fraction of that, maybe 5% of that, for schools, for education, and hospitals.
Which are the basic necessities.
Which are the basic needs. You know, so to answer your first question, for me personally, I don't think APC can win any election if it is fair.
Okay.
If they can conduct a fair election, APC cannot win.
Mr. Bola just said if they should contest a fair election, that he's not seen APC winning. All right. Thank you so much for your time, for coming and helping us analyze this topic.
Thank you.
Thank you all our viewers. Thank you, Nigerians. Thank you, Lagos, all our viewers for joining our Lagos Network studio this beautiful morning on ITV. I am Marcelina Unkwa. Just stay with us as we hand over to Benin, to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on TMI. Just stay.
Playtime is 45 minutes per set. There is no age limit as long as you can spin Ahwe seed. Ayo or Ahwe game, known as the game of intellectual. This game requires a lot of mathematical skills. Ahwe game is played with carved wooden box containing 12
Good morning and welcome to the Network News. To the news updates on independent television, I am Anuluwapo Stevens. The best way to enjoy the benefits of friendship with Jesus Christ is to love one another, especially fellow believers, with all one's heart and mind. This message was delivered by the spiritual leader and general overseer of Christ Chosen Church of God International, Senior Apostle David Inuefe. Thomas Sado reports.
The congregation was excited that the choir rendered melodious gospel songs. Senior Apostle David Unoefe Ehiwu, while ministering at a special church service held at the new main auditorium of the Christ Chosen Church of God Cathedral Complex along Benin Asaba Road, Benin City, expressed joy at the impressive turnout and described the church as a great vision that requires collective commitment. He noted that the continued growth of the church demands the support of members spiritually, physically, and financially, stressing that such unity would lead to greater expansion of God's kingdom.
Wherever you are, join me to lift up the church, because if you are not with me, you are against me. That's the word of Jesus Christ. Mind your prophecies, mind the way you preach, mind the way you counsel people. All of you, including myself, join hands, bring your materials.
The General Overseer also cautioned believers against gossip and division within the church, describing such as contrary to the teachings and character of Jesus Christ. He encouraged members to embrace love, unity, and Christ-like virtues, urging believers to focus on Jesus Christ, whom he described as the author and finisher of the Christian faith. From Benin, Thomas Sado, ITV News.
The 2025 National Scout Annual General Meeting has been held in Benin City, the Edo State capital. The meeting, held at the Imperial Events Center, Benin City, featured the conferment of awards on some deserving members and guests of the Scout Association. Jonah Omorowa has the details.
The Scout Association is founded on values of discipline, community service, and leadership. It is aimed to shape the character of the young generation through non-formal education and learning by doing. To sustain these tenets, the association held its 2025 annual general meeting in Benin City to appraise its past activities as well as propose new strategies to move it forward. In their separate remarks, Chairman, Annual AGM Committee, Ambassador Sistus Obina, the Chief Commissioner, Honorable Dave Awuna, the Scout Board Chairman, Justice Emmanuel Dodo Audu, and the Director, Africa Regional Office, World Scout Movement, Dr. Tutu Kama harped on the need to continue to maintain the tenets of the Scout Association in the country.
As Nigeria's premier youth organization, we recognize our role, the young people, in national development.
Scouting still stands very firm by our tenets of discipline, growth, and development of our young people to make them better citizens of our society.
And as the chairman of this association, I want to tell you that we should be free to do what we are here.
And unite in the interest of the young people of Nigeria. As I expressed during our visit in early 2025, and at the occasion of our meeting with the interim leadership at the recently concluded Africa Scout Conference.
Some deserving members and guests who have supported the Scout Association were decorated with awards. The annual general meeting of the association was attended by delegates from the different states across the country. From Benin, Jonah Omowa, ITV News.
Okomu Oil Palm PLC, in collaboration with the Foundation for Partnership Initiatives in the Niger Delta, has trained 3,000 farmers on oil palm cultivation and processing from 18 of its host communities. The development came to the fore during the inauguration and training of members of a steering committee in Okomu neighboring communities held at Homeville Hotel of Etete Road, Benin City. Kinsley Uchegbu tells us more.
The two-day capacity strengthening workshop held in Benin City, the Edo State capital, facilitated by Okomu Oil Palm PLC, centers solely on oil palm production and associated value chain.
All of this is trying to build a strong system to ensure that the farmers have access to the right information, the right input, how to use it, and overall is to see that they're able to improve their productivity.
Communication Officer for Okomu Oil Palm PLC, Mr. Fidelis Olise, disclosed that credit facilities would be provided for 500 trained farmers to encourage them to increase their output through high-yielding varieties.
So we are partnering with PIN to help us develop the communities in terms of empowering them. As you can see what we told them, livelihood program and many other things, so that they'll be better off.
Peace Building Manager of Foundation for Partnership Initiatives in the Niger Delta, Dr. David Udofia said peace remains a veritable tool for growth and development in the Niger Delta. Udofia said that only in a peaceful atmosphere that progress could be attained.
This program, we are going to enrich, and we have tried to enrich the capacity of the people within the community to have the understanding that when there is a disagreement, it should not escalate to violence. There are ways of managing this misunderstanding so that peace can still reign in the community. And that's when we talk about sustainable peace.
Beneficiaries said the sensitization workshop would help to enlarge their scope and create opportunities for communities and farmers to attain their full potential in the oil palm associated allied sectors.
The program helped me to understand the importance of partnership and collaboration.
The Komu partnering with host community. They have come to teach us on how we can improve in our agricultural practices.
Kingsley Uchebu, ITV News.
Meanwhile, professional builders in Edo State have been urged to ensure proper client engagement, satisfaction, and effective management of construction impact within the built environment. The charge was given at the 9th Investiture Award and inauguration ceremony of the Nigerian Institute of Building Edo State chapter, held at the Victor Owaifo Creative Hub in Benin City. Joy Obarsiabo reports.
The Nigerian Institute of Building is a value-driven professional body for builders and prospective entrants into the building profession. Speaking at the event, the president of the institute, Builder Daniel Bimbola Kolade, represented by the keynote speaker and general secretary of the institute, Builder Chinasa Jonathan Wankete, highlighted the critical role of builders in developmental control. He emphasized the need for strict adherence to best practices and professional standards in the industry. Also speaking, the director of Planning Permit, Edo State Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Town Planner Nosa Asemuta, stressed the urgent need to address the activities of quacks in the construction industry, noting that effective regulation of unqualified practitioners is essential for safety and sustainability.
These allied professionals collaborate to bring the built environment to life and existence from design to construction and beyond.
The chairman of the occasion, architect Uwagbo Ikbomosa, urged the members and stakeholders to sustain their support and cooperation, noting that collective effort remains vital for the industry's growth and long-term success.
I urge the incoming ESCO to put this at the back of their mind. You are coming to serve. You have to serve well.
The event climaxed with the inauguration of the new chairman and executive committee members of the NIOB Edo State chapter, alongside the presentation of awards to astounding individuals for their contributions to the growth of the institute and society at large.
I sincerely thank the leaders of Nigerian Edo State chapter for the confidence imposed in me.
I feel very happy being inaugurated as the vice chairman.
This is a task that is very important. We have to make sure that Edo State NIOB is taken to the next level.
The ceremony attracted several dignitaries, including His Royal Highness Oyahume Edenoje Ogwamelu III, the Onoje of Oria, as well as professional builders and architects from across Edo State. From Benin, Joy Obaisiagbon, ITV News.
The celebration of life of late legal luminary Barrister Emmanuel Inagbo Namuna featured a colorful blend of social dance and entertainment as family members, friends and well-wishers gathered on Saturday in his Hana in Benin City. Dolan Ayemir reports that the event held at the Crown Heights Event Center along Country Home Motel Road reflected gratitude for a life fulfilled of dedicated service to the nation.
High life music performed by renowned international musical artist Influence Akaba. Dance and heartfelt emotions fill the air as guests at the celebration of life of late Barrister Emmanuel Inagbona Munan took to the dance floor to honor a man many described as selfless and dedicated. event brought together children, relatives, and associates of the late solicitor and advocate of the federal government of Nigeria, who passed on at the age of 77. Some of his children and family members paid great tributes, describing him as a pillar of integrity, discipline, and commitment to justice.
His core values were truth, principle, and hard work, and nothing more pretentious.
He was a good man, he was a very kind man. He was a father that could go to any length just to ensure that his children are good.
My late father was a great man. Right from a young age, he told us that discipline and hard work can take you anywhere you want to go in life. He never believed in shortcuts.
I've missed a colossus. Indeed, it's a loss to every one of us.
He was open-minded. If there's anything, he faces it and trash it out.
Epitome of calmness, calculation, and an astute, wonderful personality.
The Omoviye Theatre Troupe was also on hand to add color and cultural flair to the celebration. From Benin, Donald Ehiminyen, ITV News.
And that ends the news update on Independent Television. Many thanks for watching. I am Anuluwakpo Stevens. Up next is TMI Socials.
ITV, certainly the best.
Good morning. This is TMI Socials, wondering what's trending. Anyway, you get to get all of that and more right here. I am Anuluwakpo Stevens. So better still call me your social media butterfly. Now this morning we kickstart on a side note with the biggest story currently trending online about a 25-year-old girl named Ifunanya Onwagene, an Abuja-based classical jazz, R&B, and soul singer, popularly known by her stage name Naya, has reportedly passed away after suffering a snake bite at her residence in the early hours of yesterday. It was gathered that the incident occurred at her home in Abuja when a snake attacked her, inflicting a bite that later proved fatal. After the incident, she tried to go to several hospitals, but to no avail. Now let's honor her this morning.
Only my heart knows what I feel. This kind of love, so deep, so real. It's quiet, but it's loud in me. A secret song in every beat. I don't need to say it out loud. Only my heart knows now.
Let me hear you song. I've climbed the mountains, crossed the seas, can't find no other love like this. You are the treasure that I have, in you I'm truly satisfied. Jesus, you're my everything. You're the light that shines through me. You are the treasure that I have, in you I'm truly satisfied. Oluwatosin, Oluwatosin, it's Jesus that I know.
May her soul rest in perfect peace, amen. Online, lot of reactions as regards spirituality, or is it the fault of the medical facility right here in Nigeria? But we'll take a quick one from Aproko Doctor, who wrote on X, if the fact that someone can die from a snake bite in 2026 because anti-venoms were not available in hospitals close doesn't force you to demand better health care from your leaders. Every day our healthcare system is neglected, lives are lost. Well, still on this sad story, this user wrote, if Runaya died because there was no anti-venom to save her from the snake bite, they rushed her to 2 hospitals and there was no anti-venom. Bro, in 2026, God, what country is this? May Nigeria not happen to you. Well, still taking a couple of reactions. This user wrote on Instagram, why does this feel spiritual? Rest in peace. We reject untimely death. Amen. Well, away from that to another major hit, another hashtag on social media, the debate about pastors having tattoos on their body. Now, talking about popular relationship coach and head of David Christian Center, Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo, has sparked widespread debate online after unveiling a Bible-inspired tattoo on his arm. So the pastor, who recently marked his 50th birthday, shared a video of the tattoo process on his official Instagram page. The clip opened with a voiceover of John 3:16, and this has actually sparked a lot of reactions online and also offline. Let's take a look at the video.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
Hey, hello everybody, how you guys doing? So I'm here live for my 50th birthday party. Hey, as some of you people, African people, you don't have work. It's tattoo people are discussing. All right, but I'll come to you on Monday and educate you for educational purposes only. All right, we'll look at scripture. We'll look at the right perspective. In Africa, we are practicing what they call Afro-Trado Judo Christianity. We are not yet in pure Christianity, so we'll look at those things. But hey, don't worry, for now, it's the groove. Relax, drink water, chill. I'll get back to you.
Take a chill pill, according to Pastor Kingsley. Anyway, a lot of Nigerians are looking forward to his reaction today. But what do you make out of it? What would you do as a Christian if your pastor draws the two on his body? Would you want to do the same? Likewise, this user wrote Daniel on X, a pastor shouldn't have a tattoo, nor even encourage it by words, applause, or act. Another user still reacting online. This one wrote on Instagram, tattoo or not, smoking or not, I know these are not sin. They only affect your body positively or negatively, but let it not be something a baby Christian under your leadership would hold on to as an excuse to becoming worldly or wayward, because if eating meat will cause my brother to sin, I'll rather not eat meat just to preserve my brother's faith. Regardless, I love you, sir, and I digest your great teachings that are beneficial to humanity. Now, away from that, because it's an ongoing conversation online, we'll quickly move over to the FCT minister, who is not leaving the social media space anytime soon. Now, the FCT minister, as you are aware, Yesem Wike, did state that government cannot spend all of the available revenues on salaries and allowances because they still have to meet development responsibilities. According to him, nobody can just bring out the whole money and pay allowances and wages, asking rhetorically how the government would buy vehicles, construct roads, and run schools if all the funds were exhausted on recurrent spending. Now, this is the reaction he actually gave to the FCTA guys who are still on strike as we speak. Let's take a listen.
Nobody can just bring out the whole money and pay allowances and wages. How will we buy these vehicles? How will we construct the roads? How will we rehabilitate the schools? And this were in TSA, and it was difficult for us to access funds. What was happening was just approvals, buying of computers, the whole money will finish. And yet you say, when this minister was there, they couldn't do anything. How would he do something?
Is it just me, or I heard how woo-woo? But anyway, how would you take it online? Let's have a couple of tweets and reactions. We'll start off with this one who wrote on X. Nigerians politicians are the luckiest people alive. David saying that on X. This one on Instagram wrote, so workers should suffer first so government can be comfortable. Imagine Wike saying this out loud and thinking it's normal. Anyway, we'll move away from Wike to the Abia State Governor. Abia State Governor Alex Oti, in a video that has now gone viral, he did boldly and boastfully say that they are no longer affected by the national grid collapse because they have devised structures for them to stay out of the epileptic power supply in Nigeria. Take a listen.
Regulated within the state. And the whole idea is to ensure energy sufficiency and independence in the state. Just like the Aba power provides power for the Aba ring fence. I'm sure you would have been aware that some of the disasters that happened recently, that our state was not affected because a whole part of our power asset is within our authority. And that
Moving over to reactions online from netizens, let's start off with this user who wrote on X with a lot of persons applauding the governor. This one says, is Governor Alex Oti a Nigerian or he is from another country? Is Abia State in Nigeria? Because I learned power, electricity is constantly constant in Abia State. It's like Abia State is in USA or in UAE. Okay, well, it's in Nigeria. This user on Instagram wrote, leadership is key to true benefits of development. We have lacked this on both state and federal levels. Glad to see a visionary man like Alex Oti. Now, as we get to wrap up TMI Socials this morning, we wrap up with the former heavyweight box champion Anthony Joshua, who has finally come out to have his first say after the loss of two of his friends right here in Nigeria. Let's take a listen to him. The video, but anyway, reacting to what he did say, this user wrote on Instagram, "Bro, the pain he feels, bro, I could feel it all. He's hiding it so well and trying not to break down with a smile on his face too. That's real character. We are sincerely sorry for your loss. I know I am, but I wish you strength in whatever you do, and God didn't bring you out for no reason. Keep winning, big guy." I love to say video online. But anyway, we got to wrap up TMI Social this way. Big shout out to you for being a part of the show. I am Nwoluwakpo Stevens. And from all of us on This Morning on ITV, please stay safe. We'll see you again tomorrow.
This is Aqua Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of farming.